Our final category of covering BMPs we're going to discuss are the family of rolled products. The family is called RECPs, and these are products that come to you and are generally in some type of roll, sometimes in a bale, and they get applied by hand, or in some cases there are machines to do this as well. Covering BMPs can be an impervious surface like plastic, or can be a substrate that grass can grow through and establish on the site like a straw blanket. We've all used plastic before, and when you put plastic down, you're essentially creating a slip and slide, and you're creating an impervious surface. So water's going to shed off the plastic faster when you utilize it. It's not just plastic itself that's the BMP, but you also have to have perimeter control or a velocity reduction BMP at the bottom of your slope or the bottom of your stockpile so that water doesn't accelerate and the velocity doesn't reel out the areas beneath your stockpile or slope past your project. You also need to be mindful about how long the plastic stays out. So if the plastic stays out a very long time, it could become very brittle, and then when you go to pick it back up, it cracks into thousands of pieces. So be very mindful when you utilize plastic. It's not just the plastic as a BMP, but it's also the anchoring system that you put in place. Nobody wants to watch the project wave at them as they drive by. You need to make sure that it's anchored down, and you need to take the velocity out of the water that's being created by putting the plastic over the top of the stockpile or the slope as well. The world of rolled products is vast. When it comes to biodegradable rolled products, the media can be straw, it can be coconut, it could be Excelsior. There are plastic ones meant for long-term applications, but all blanket media is put together with an external netting. It's either a single net or a double net, and that netting could be photo or biodegradable. And it could be plastic or a natural material. You're going to have to make a lot of decisions, and again, it has to do with meeting those project outcomes in areas where you've got a lot of sensitive wildlife that could maybe moving through your project. You're going to probably want to get away from the plastic netting that can act as a gill net for fish or can create entrapment for small lizards, snakes, pocket gophers, or other little animals. So we want to make sure that we are selecting the right blanket that has the right longevity to have the long-term establishment without causing other environmental issues as we put it down. So there are a variety of different staples that are available for the rolled erosion control products. There are metal staples, lighter and heavier gauge. There are also eco staples that come in a wood shape. This is a 6-inch. They also have a 12-inch. These come in 6, 8, and 12-inch. There are also pin and washer staples. They also make a plastic one version of those. And then finally, there are large cable systems for much steeper projects, much higher velocity projects, or in sand type of soils or bluffs to anchor. This is a duckbill anchor that goes into the ground this way, gets pulled tight, and then you cable that into the soil with the washer. Whenever you're putting on a blanket, it's very important that you put the seed to the surface of the ground first and then roll the blanket over the top. The seed will then emerge through the blanket. There's only one blanket that's out there where you can actually run the netting down first and then allow the seed to be shot over or dispersed over the top of the blanket, and that would be called jute. Jute has an open weave, so you know that you're going to get some seed contact to the soil. However, I would say that with jute, you're still going to have some soil loss. I'm always preferential to putting seed on the soil first and then rolling the BMP over the top of it so you get maximum amount of contact to the soil as possible. This picture here with jute is too steep of a shoulder for jute to be effective. It's really a 5-to-1 or 6-to-1 type of product. They do make jute with a tighter weave, and some people actually use burlap as a covering as well, so that you can do projects like this where you're getting a shoulder to hold back those velocities and be effective. Straw blankets, again, can handle a little bit steeper slopes than jute. They get better coverage capability. It's really hand dispersed straw that's being put down and held together with a blanket. Please put it down and then leave it. Don't try to move it or adjust it because you're going to shake the media out of the middle of it. And if you're going to use straw in a channel or as a channel lining to protect the shoulders of the ditch line, please make sure that the straw has a coconut fiber blend with it. Water flowing over a straw blanket will actually migrate the straw through the blanket, so you want to have something that's got more resistance to shear stress flows over the top of it and not migrate the material out of the media in the center. Excelsior blankets are used a lot in forestry. I think they got there because elk don't eat it. Straw blankets and straw wattles used in places where wildlife can come in contact with your project are like candy canes sitting on the ground. So again, those decisions come up as a result of where you're doing your work. And then there are your coir blankets. C-O-I-R means coconut husk. And those coconut fibers that you have in the blankets, or they're woven into the blanket to make a much more durable product. So if you've ever bought a welcome mat made from coconut, you've seen that coconut rope, and that's coir. These create 100% biodegradable long-term durability blankets that are oftentimes used for wetland restoration and stream rehab projects where you need that blanket over a season or multiple seasons waiting for the willow shoots that you've jammed through them to create the long-term establishment for the flowing environment. There's another entire family out there called turf reinforcement mats, or TRMs. Some of our movement in the industry is to go towards a lot of these TRM blankets instead of the use of concrete. These give structural integrity to slopes, structural integrity to ditch lines, and if you've ever dug a ditch in sand, how long does it look like a ditch? Not long, right? So a lot of the time we use these turf reinforcement mats to create structural integrity for the ditch line, to allow for the seed that's underneath it to establish and become the long-term permanent application for that ditch line, so we can move water through it without washing material away.